So on election night, I went to pick up my daughter from water polo practice, and she's 12, and she got in the car and she was crying. And I said, did someone punch you? Like, water polo is a rough sport. I was like, did someone hit you? Did the coach yell at you? What happened? And she said, Mom, Trump won. Trump's going to win. And what if I get raped and I need to have an abortion? This is from a 12-year-old, my 12-year-old daughter. And so it was really a reminder of how scary this time is for people.
What do you say to the 40% of California voters who you'll need in order to win, who voted for Trump?
How would I need them in order to win, man?
Well, unless you think you're going to get 60% of the vote. You think you'll get 60%. Everybody who did not vote for Trump will vote for you. That's what you're thinking.
In a general election? Yes. But you asked me if I needed them to win.
So you don't think
I feel like this is unnecessarily argumentative. What is your question?
Well, to those voters. Okay, so you...
I don't want to keep doing this. I'm going to call it. Okay. Thank you.
You're not going to do the interview with us?
Nope, not like this. I'm not. Not with 7 follow-ups to every single question you ask.
Every other candidate has answered.
I don't care.
I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog, too.
So we got to tell you about the upcoming 2026 California governor's race here today, because, ladies and gentlemen, if you did not think that political leadership in that state could get any worse than Gavin Newsom, boy, would you be wrong. We got to introduce you today to the current frontrunner for the Democrats in that race, a woman by the name of Katie Porter, who, if you cannot tell by this photograph of her, is just an absolutely insane, crazy person. This is basically her, right? Hi, I'm Katie Porter. Would you like to vote for me? I'm a Democrat. Come take the ballot. Come take the mail-in ballot for illegal alien. She's insane. Okay, she's terrifying. And before you try to say I'm just making fun of her or whatever, okay, maybe she looks crazy, but is she that crazy? Let me just tell you right now, she's as crazy as she looks, okay? She looks like she belongs on the Magic School Bus. She reminds me, frankly, of, and my younger audience will know all about this, right? The crazy liberal teachers you had in school, you know? I remember back in high school, for instance, I was graduating during Black Lives Matter, and a bunch of leftist kids at my school started this whole campaign to take away my valedictorian speech, and they convinced the most liberal teacher in the entire school to go petition the principal about it, basically. And I kid you not, my teacher was basically Katie Porter. Okay, same look, same crazy eyes, different hair, but you're noticing there's a little bit of a common pattern, I guess, with deranged leftists, which is that they're utterly deranged. And currently, ladies and gentlemen, this California governor's candidate is coming under national scandal after she basically revealed to the rest of the country how much of an insane, crazy person she is after she stormed off this interview in an angry tirade after someone simply asked her, hey, 40% of your state is Republican. How are you going to win those voters? She's like, get off my daughter! Like, okay. But furthermore, it's getting worse, because even the folks at MSNBC are saying that, yeah, this is not a good look. Even liberals are like, what is wrong with you? I mean, look, here's the thing, too. They really are all insane. They are all that crazy, but they also understand strategy and optics. And they're like, okay, this totally obvious deranged lunatic, like female Tim Walz, basically. What are we doing here? But it doesn't stop there. Because it turns out that this candidate is not just a deranged, angry, crazy person in public life. The same is true in private life, where videos have now emerged of her abusing her staffers, further allegations from a bunch of people who worked for her saying she's a horrible boss, she's abusive, she's insane, and even apparently the story behind her own ex-husband, who had to file a restraining order against her because she really is all that insane and abusive. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll tell you all about this here today. Again, this is apparently the future of California, given something else maybe not happening in that race. So, guys, let's get into it. First, though, do us a favor. If you enjoy our content, make sure you hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. That is the best way to support our work and ensure that we can keep doing these videos. And that said, all right, let's take a ride on the Magic School Bus with Miss Frizzle and find out exactly why Katie Porter is under scandal, and it is specifically because of this video right here. So take a listen.
What do you say to the 40% of California voters who you'll need in order to win, who voted for Trump?
How would I need them in order to win, man?
Well, unless you think you're going to get 60% of the vote. You think you'll get 60%. Everybody who did not vote for Trump will vote for you. That's what you're saying.
In a general election, yes. If it is me versus a Republican, I think that I will win the people who did not vote for Trump.
What if it's you versus another Democrat?
I don't intend that to be the case.
So how do you not intend that to be the case? Are you going to ask them not to run?
No, I'm saying I'm going to build the support. I have the support already in terms of name recognition. And so I'm going to do the very best I can to make sure that we get through this primary in a really strong position. But let me be clear with you. I represented Orange County. I represented a purple area. I have stood on my own 2 feet and won Republican votes before. That's not something every candidate in this race can say. If you're from a deep blue area, if you're from LA or you're from Oakland, you don't have an experience.
But you just said you don't need those Trump voters.
Well, you asked me if I needed them to win.
So you don't think
I feel like this is unnecessarily argumentative. What is your question?
The question is the same thing I asked everybody, that this is being called the empowering voters to stop.
Okay, before the rest of this insanity happens, let me just first of all say that while I guess she is technically correct, there are a few problems with her logic. Number one, generally speaking, even if a politician understands they might not win, say, 40% of their state or their country, it's not really a normal thing to just completely disregard them, right? Like that is a true showing of you kind of being deranged or a angry, just bitter, resentful person to go out there and say, I'm not even going to make an attempt. Screw you, right? At least give the politician answers. Say, look, maybe there's certain ideas I have that appeal to Trump voters, or look, this is what I stand for. Anyone can vote for me. She's just openly saying, right? I don't want your vote. You're not going to vote for me. I don't care. But number two, the other problem she's facing with this is that, as that journalist brings up, you could see a general election between two Democrats. And what then? Let me tell you why that's the case. Because California basically just does a jungle primary, right? There's no Republican or Democrat primary. It's just, let's put all the candidates in one, top two advance to the next round of the election, essentially, right? So you can have an outcome, in theory at least, where two Democrats are at the top of the ticket. And in that case, 40% of the state, the Republicans are going to have to decide on like which Democrat is a little bit less bad. And in that case, yeah, I mean, you know, and by the way, you might say that doesn't usually happen, and that's true. But if you look at the current polls, right, Katie Porter, yes, technically is the front runner, but that's only because the race is a mess and no major Democrats like Alex Padilla or Xavier Becerra or others have entered the race. Okay. So again, given all the chaos, given how wide open the race is, you could see some shenanigans. And in that case, I'm not exactly sure, Katie Porter, if this is the smartest political strategy to just be running on, I'm not even going to try to appeal to the other side. I'm going to openly, when you ask me, just say like F the other side. But anyways, okay, well, here's where it gets truly deranged.
Trump's power grab. Every other candidate has answered this question. This is not
correct. And I said I support it.
So, and the question is, what do you say to the 40% of voters who voted for Trump?
Oh, I'm happy to say that. It's the do you need them to win part that I don't understand. I'm happy to answer the question as you have it written, and I'll answer it.
And we've also asked the other candidates, do you think you need any of those 40% of California voters to win? And you're saying, no, you don't.
No, I'm saying I'm going to try to win every vote I can. And what I'm saying to you is that,
well, to those voters. Okay, so you...
I don't want to keep doing this. I'm going to call it. Okay. Thank you.
You're not going to do the interview with us?
Nope, not like this. I'm not. Not with 7 follow-ups to every single question you ask.
Every other candidate has answered.
I don't care.
Follow-ups.
I don't care. I want to have a pleasant, positive conversation in which you ask me about every issue on this list. And if every question you're going to make up a follow-up question, then we're never going to get there.
Ms.
And
Porter,
we're just going to circle around.
I am an investigative
I have never had to do
reporter.
this before, ever.
You've never had to have a conversation with
to end
a
an
reporter?
interview.
Okay, but every other candidate has done this.
What part of I'm me? I'm running for governor because I'm a leader. So I am going to make...
So you're not going to answer questions from reporters? Okay, why don't we go through? I will continue to ask follow-up questions because that's my job as a journalist, but I will go through and ask these, and if you don't want to answer, you don't want to answer. So nearly every legislative...
I don't want to have an unhappy experience with you, and I don't want this all on camera.
I don't want to have an unhappy experience with you either. I would love to continue to ask these questions so that we can show our viewers what every candidate feels about every one of these issues that they care about. in redistricting. It's a massive issue. We're going to do an entire story just on the responses to that question. And I've asked everybody the same follow-up questions.
So as you could clearly see, I don't know if maybe I just missed it, but I didn't see the part where the journalist was supposedly being really bad faith or argumentative. I thought all the questions were completely reasonable. And Katie Porter, just because she has to answer one question about Donald Trump, completely loses her mind and just acts like a lunatic. You're being combative. You're not being very nice to me. I don't want to do this on camera with you. Like, what is going on here, right? But it's also not all that surprising. Because as I said, she is an insane, crazy person. But plenty of you guys know someone in your life who's a Katie Porter. I guess that's a new slogan, right? A Katie Porter. Which is all these people kind of have something wrong upstairs. And frankly, you look at the Democrat Party and even leftism itself these days. Is leftism even really an ideology? Do the Democrats really stand for anything? Or is it just the mass mobilization of the resentful and oftentimes the mentally sick upstairs to kind of vaguely push them towards some kind of politics? But in reality, it's just a way for them to let out their constant anger and frustration against the world. And that's what you see in Katie Porter, by the way. Like, Katie Porter currently behaving, ladies and gentlemen, like the average Democrat voter. Don't get me wrong, there's probably a minority of Democrats in California who might look at that interview and say, what's wrong with her? But there's probably a bunch more, especially working in public education and other places, who are saying, wow, she's just like me. Wow, I like her so much. I really like that energy. So, utterly insane, utter lunatic. Now, that in mind, some people in liberal media are trying to point out that, like, hey, you are an insane, crazy person, and that was not a good look. I mean, take a listen, for instance, to the MSNBC reaction to all of it.
I don't want to have an unhappy experience with you, and I don't want this all on camera.
Let's bring in Tara Setmayer, former GOP communications director and co-founder and CEO of the Seneca Project. Here in studio, Julie Roginski, Democratic strategist and author of the Salty Politics newsletter on Substack. Conventional wisdom, Julie, is that one viral moment can change the trajectory of a campaign. Is that one of those moments?
It's not a good look. And as somebody who runs a nonprofit dedicated to good workplace behavior, that's not modeling good behavior. It's not a workplace issue, but she does have workplace behavior issues, according to former staffers. Look, why can't we just treat people with respect? You don't have to emulate Donald Trump at everything. You don't have to sit there and treat a reporter who's doing her job like she works for you. She doesn't, right? You're a journalist. You get to ask whatever questions you want. I'm not going to rip my mic off if I don't like your follow-up questions. The reality is, if you don't want to do it, just don't do the interview. But if you've committed, you've got to do it. It shows that she's not into transparency. It shows that she's not into respect. It shows that she's not up to the task of governing a state of millions and millions of people.
Wow, you go that far.
I do. Listen, I don't know where her policies are. I'm not from California. I don't pay much attention to California. But I do pay attention to something like this. And if somebody is going to treat a fellow constituent this way, maybe this is not the job for them.
Tara, once a viral moment happens, people go digging, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's absolutely true. In a normal society, this person would be immediately, first of all, obviously disqualified from public office, but probably, frankly, most aspects of public life. Like, this person would not be hired to work in a corporation or the janitor closet at McDonald's or, frankly, anywhere. I mean, maybe this person would be institutionalized. We don't know, right? But I'm just saying, like, something is clearly wrong here, and yet she's the Democrat frontrunner representing millions of Democrat voters who, as you've seen in the past month or so, clearly are not really all that different in temperament, right? So, I don't know what comes first, right? The mental sickness or the leftism. It's kind of a chicken or the egg situation, but there seems to be a strong overlap in people who are constantly angry, bitter, and resentful towards life and their mobilization toward left-wing politics. This has been studied, by the way, by social scientists. It's not really exactly a fake thing I'm making up, and you see it in real life, and it's just like, I don't know, something's going on here. Now, that said, it should come as no surprise, just having watched even that interview. But Katie Porter, like, this was not an exception from her. This was generally the rule. As a matter of fact, newly surfaced videos have emerged of her basically just verbally abusing her staffers. Yeah, so again, big news flash. Person who acts like that publicly against a reporter, acts like that, if not worse, privately towards her own people that she hires, many of whom are like young college kids. Take a listen for yourself.
And the state could lose. Get out of my fucking shot.
I wanted to tell you that that's actually incorrect. It's not that it's electric vehicles. It's that if we don't meet the commitments under the Paris Climate Accord.
Okay, it does. Okay, you also were in my shot before that. Stay out of my shot. Okay, I'm going to start again with electric vehicles saving us money. Perfect.
Wow, I mean, just what a pleasant person to work for. Isn't it so amazing how the party of just be kind and loving the flowers and tolerance and peace, equality, all these things, in reality, they're just like the worst people on earth. They're just angry, terrible to you all the time, mistreating people constantly. Yeah, doesn't surprise me. I've been around leftists all my life. I know exactly how this stuff goes, right? Many of you can say the same. And by the way, this also is not an anomaly. The allegations of her being abusive to her own staff go back several years. This is another staffer who came out years ago and basically showed these text messages where Katie Porter fired the staffer for giving her COVID, apparently back in like 2021, 2022, somewhere around there. To which I say, I mean, I don't know the full backstory, but I'm going to guess it was not intentional, right? I'm going to guess that this congressional intern was not trying to commit biological warfare against a representative of the United States. I'm pretty sure she didn't mean that. And yet here was what happened. So Katie Porter texts this girl named Sasha saying, Sasha, I cannot allow you back into the office given your failure to follow office policies. Cody will be in touch about having your personal effects shipped or delivered to your home and will lay out your remote work schedule and responsibilities for your last few weeks. The person here goes on to say, I understand. Thank you for the last 2 years and all that I have learned. I hate to have disappointed you in the manner, as I know it isn't an excuse, but I had found out my friend from the Navy had been murdered and my head was not in the best place. Not an excuse, but the reasoning for the lack of forethought. I appreciate everything this office has done for me. So it's unclear from this what actually like happened or what went wrong. But then you find out it's, well, you gave me COVID. I'm like, that's what you're firing her? I mean, maybe some other things happened. I don't know. She trashed the office, threw a party, had some tirade. No, the real reason, crazy woman Katie Porter, who, by the way, you could totally imagine her back to those like COVID Karen videos. I don't like that word, but you know, back in 2020 where people are going, wear your mask, wear your mask. Apparently that's what's happening here, right? Well, you gave me COVID. In 25 months, it took you not following the rules to get me sick. My children have nobody to care for them. So I don't know. Was this that like she didn't wear her mask in the office or something? No clue. But again, as they mentioned even in the MSNBC clip, multiple staffers come out and said she's an extremely abusive boss. But ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't stop there. She's not just abusive to journalists, the insane, crazy person. I like to abuse journalists. Vote for me for governor. She doesn't just like to abuse her staff. Hi, would you like to come work for my congressional office? Halloween's coming up. I think I know the perfect costume for Katie Porter. It's not a costume, just put her... But apparently, even those in her personal life. Okay, apparently her ex-husband actually has revealed some things, according to the New York Post here. So, the former husband of Representative Katie Porter says the California Democrat frequently abused him verbally. Oh, that's a big surprise, right? This crazy person is actually a crazy, angry person. Frequently abused him verbally and threw, quote, toys, books, and other objects at him during their marriage, and even poured scalding hot mashed potatoes on his head during a fight, according to divorce records. Fellas, needless to say, this is why you do not marry liberal women, okay? I mean, because look, she might seem okay. You guys might not talk about politics right now. She might be hot. We don't know. But 30 years from now, they all turn into Katie Porter. Beware, gentlemen. But yeah, it's well, insane, right? Totally insane. Anyways, Matthew Hoffman, who filed for divorce from Porter in 2013, said in a request for a restraining order dated April 30th, of that year that he was routinely called an effing idiot and effing incompetent by his rage-prone spouse, who also shattered a glass coffee pot on their kitchen counter in March 2012 when she felt their house wasn't clean enough. Imagine being so insane that, like, you're the female and you're the domestic abuser. Like, that's... like, you're overpowering a man because you're so angry. You know, you got the Incredible She-Hulk over here. Dear gosh. Oh, like, and again, you know, none of this surprises you when you just look at how she behaves in public. She's totally deranged. She's insane. And the only question is, will enough Democrat voters in a Democrat state like California, and I'm glad that I left 4 to 5 years ago at this point, will they look and say, you know what? I don't really want that. Right? Will they admit, okay, she's a little insane? Or are they going to see these people and say, oh, that fully reflects me? Because after all, right, if the coalition now consists of a bunch of, like, mentally sick people, deranged individuals who probably belong in, like, a mental health asylum, but, you know, they're not, they're out about in the streets. If the coalition is them and, you know, illegal alien violent criminals and MS-13 and all these people, you know, maybe they see something. Maybe Katie Porter reflects one of them. I don't know, but it's just worth noting. This is who we are dealing with, guys. And that said, I think you're seeing some common patterns here, because you actually take a listen as The View. Most of these people actually run cover for Katie Porter after the video showing her abusing her staff and not being able to answer basic questions. So that shouldn't surprise you, right? Like, a bunch of older, bitter, angry, resentful liberal women are defending an older, angry, resentful, bitter liberal woman. All right, take a listen.
A recent interview that got a little heated. Take a look.
We've also asked the other candidates, do you think you need...
Yeah, we've seen this a million times, but a little heated, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, and they even play the video with the staff. But what does Whoopi Goldberg have to say?
Oh, I'm not giving away mine. Shot, not giving away mine. You know,
maybe she's having a menopausal
well, she's
moment.
made, you know, listen, anything is possible. But she said in a statement that she's striving to do better, quote, saying, I have sought to be more intentional in showing gratitude to my staff for their important work. Now,
really?
You know, some people apparently are surprised by these videos. I am not. We see these videos with guys. We saw it with... oh, my God.
Bill O'Reilly?
Bill O'Reilly. We've seen
Laura
it
Ingraham?
with Laura Ingraham. We've seen it with lots of different people. We've seen it with actors.
Trump does it every minute.
And he always says to people, you're the worst. I don't like you.
Nasty
I don't know
woman.
who you are. I don't know why you're here.
Yeah.
You know, maybe people are having a bad day. I can't imagine.
Okay, but, like, here's the thing. Katie Porter's been having a bad day for the past 20 years. Okay? And you can just tell by, like, her, you can see it in her eyes, frankly. Let me just put it that way. That when she's doing these things, it's not a, oh, I'm, like, pissed off or I'm breaking character moment, I lost my cool. It's more of a, this is exactly who I am moment. And then after all, right? Even if you get mad at your staff publicly when you don't think the cameras are on, okay. The cameras were on in CBS. She's the same exact way years later. You know why? Because that's just how she is. By the way, you don't believe that's how she is? Ask her ex-husband who had the mashed potatoes freaking poured on his head. Okay, the one who was going for restraining order against her. Simple answer, right? She's just insane. But of course, you know, obviously The View's going to play it off as being, oh, I think she's just having a menopause moment. Interesting admission there, Joy Behar. I don't exactly know. But all right, that said, guys, let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section down below, right? Do you think that liberals are going to reject this person because she's obviously insane? Or do you think that she might actually win the California governor's seat because she reflects them? Or maybe some other Democrat comes in and, you know, saves the day, essentially, you know, Alex Padilla. I mean, I'd rather have Alex Padilla than her, right? Alex Padilla might be the absolute clown who got arrested by ICE because he tried to lunge at Kristi Noem. But, you know, he's much more normal. That guy's much more normal, frankly, than Katie Porter. See, here's the thing with people like with Katie Porter's temperament. Is they're genuinely dangerous to have in power because they're that bitter, that they're that angry, they're that unstable. You know, it's like that's bad. You know, and that's, by the way, you know who she reminds me a lot of is like Glenn Walls, like Tim Walls' wife. And I said about that family as well. Like those are very dangerous people to have in power because look at their eyes. They're insane on the inside. They might claim to be super nice, compassionate people, but don't go into their house. Don't go into their basement. You're not gonna, I mean, that's what's going on. But anyways, that said, let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section down below. Be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and until next time, God bless and peace.